Welcome to our explainer. Today, we're tackling one of the most, well, nerve-wracking moments in any big project. That heart-in-your-throat moment when you have to flip the switch on a brand new system. So, let's get right into it. So, picture this. You've spent months, maybe even years planning, designing, building. The perfect new system is finally ready to go. But here's the scary part. All that hard work, all that investment, it can all unravel in a single instant. This is the implementation phase. It's where theory slams into reality, and believe me, the stakes could not be higher. All right, so we're at the moment of truth. This is that critical stage where one single decision, one, can literally make or break the whole entire project. Okay, first things first, let's make sure we're all on the same page. What is system implementation? Well, it's just that transition period, right? It's the stage where you're changing from the old system to the new one. Sounds simple enough, but trust me, as you're about to see, it is anything but.
Look, before you even think about that big go-live date, you have to get all your ducks in a row. I'm talking about the fundamentals. Is your hardware and network actually ready for this? Have you tested the system until you can't test it anymore? Are your people trained? Do they know what they're doing? And oh boy, this is a big one. Has all that critical data been moved over safely and correctly? You absolutely cannot move forward until every single one of these boxes is checked. No shortcuts.
So once you've done all that prep work, you hit a fork in the road, a really important one. You've got to pick an implementation strategy. And there are basically 4 main ways to do it. Each one has its own benefits and, some pretty terrifying risks. So let's break them down one by one. First up, let's talk about the safest route, which, spoiler alert, is also the most expensive one. It's called parallel running. The easiest way to think about this is like moving. Imagine you're moving into a new house, but you keep paying rent on your old apartment for a month, just in case, you know? In the tech world, that means you run both the old system and the new system at the exact same time. Yep, it's double the work, double a hassle, but you always have a safety net to fall back on. Now, the trade-off here is crystal clear. The huge pro, you've got maximum security. If the new system hits a snag or just completely fails, no big deal. The old one is still chugging along. You don't lose service, you don't lose income. But the downside, well, it's massive. This method is incredibly expensive. We're talking at least double the cost. And you'll probably need extra staff just to manage it all. And then there's the human problem. If people know their old comfy system is still an option, good luck getting them to fully embrace the new one. Okay, so we've seen the safe option. Now let's swing the pendulum to the complete opposite end of the spectrum. We're talking about the absolute riskiest, all-or-nothing approach, the big bang or direct cutoff. You know, folks in the industry have a, let's say, affectionate nickname for this method. They call it sudden death. And yeah, that pretty much tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? The stakes are enormous because there's absolutely no going back. The idea itself is brutally simple. You pick a date on the calendar. On that day, you switch the old system off for good, and you switch the new one on. That's it. Done. The Band-Aid has been ripped off in one single, decisive move. And if you want a perfect example of how badly this can go wrong, look no further. Back in 1992, the London Ambulance Service decided to switch from their old paper-based system to a new computerized one, and they chose a direct cutoff. The new system crashed almost immediately. And because there was no fallback, no old system to go back to, the entire critical, life-saving service just failed. It is now the textbook cautionary tale of what not to do. So what's the appeal? Well, it's cheaper for one, and it definitely forces everyone to adopt the new system. No excuses. If you've planned everything perfectly and it works, the benefits are immediate. But if it doesn't, you're looking at total catastrophic failure, a complete disaster. This approach doesn't just need good planning, it demands absolutely flawless execution. Okay, so if parallel is way too expensive and direct is just too darn risky for comfort, what's left? Is there a middle ground? Well, yes. There are 2 other strategies that try to reduce risk by starting small. We call them piloting and phasing. So let's put these 2 side by side. A pilot is like giving the new house a test run for a weekend. You roll out the entire, complete new system, but only to one small group or department. The goal is to use them as a live test bed to find all the bugs before you go big. Now, a phased implementation is more like moving in one room at a time. In this case, everyone gets the new system, but they only get it in pieces. Maybe you roll out the sales module first, and then 3 months later, everyone gets the inventory module. Both are really smart ways to manage risk, but neither is perfect. For instance, if your pilot test is buggy, you could poison the well and make everyone hate the new system before they even get it. All right, so you've picked your strategy, you've held your breath, and you've flipped the switch. It's live, but you're not done. Not by a long shot. In fact, some of the most important learning happens after go live. And that brings us to the final, crucial step, the post-implementation review. This is where you sit down and figure out, did it actually work? It's a formal process to look at what went right, what went wrong, and ultimately to answer the question of whether the whole thing was actually a success. And during this review, you have to be honest. You've got to ask the hard questions. Did this new system actually do what we said it would do? Is the data it's giving us accurate and reliable? Is it actually easy to use, or do people hate it? And maybe the most important question of all, do our users actually have confidence in this thing? Because the answers to those questions, that's what determines the real success of the project, not just flipping a switch. And really, that brings us right back to the fundamental dilemma of all of this. There is no single best strategy. There are only trade-offs. It all boils down to one simple but incredibly difficult question. Which are you more willing to put on the line, your budget or your security? It's a constant balancing act between cost and risk. And there is no easy answer. Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.